for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening, Fade to Black. Today is March 21st, 2023. And tonight is a special report on artificial intelligence. What is it? The who, what, when, where, why? All of that stuff. We're going to get into this tonight. And now also, I'm going to be keeping my eye on the chat. If you do have any specific questions or points that you want to make, pop it up there in all caps, and I'll try to get to it and incorporate that into this conversation tonight. But with all of that, let's get straight to it. Because today, artificial intelligence is here, and it is in nearly every aspect of our lives. And whether you know it or not, or want it there or not, there's not much you can do about it. It is here. It has arrived. And today, another software engine of the artificial intelligence kind was just announced. It's called Bard, and it's much like Chat GPT and others that are out there right now. And those versions of AI we're going to be getting very deep into tonight. Now, the deal is this. Let's just start out here. What is artificial intelligence? It is in the headlines every single day now. We know that. Again, we'll be discussing more about this. It is part of the Google search engine. It is part of the Bing search engine and many other things. So artificial intelligence is intelligence perceiving, synthesizing, and inferring information demonstrated by machines, and in this case, specifically computers, as opposed to intelligence displayed by non-human animals and humans. It's two different kinds of intelligences. And again, we're going to get very deep into this tonight and what the differences are. But yes, artificial intelligence is an intelligence that comes from something that's non-human, computers. The ideas behind artificial intelligence found itself arriving here in around 1956, and it became an academic discipline. It was something that started to become researched, talked about, and of course was given a name. And in the years since then, we have had many, many different huge fronts of optimism and what it could do for us as a race. And of course, we also had the fear that comes along with that too as well. And the fear comes from a couple of different aspects. One being the technical side and the engineering side, and the other one is a deep philosophical fear too as well. The end of the human race and so forth. But expanding on that, and why the fear part of it is because there's not much that we as a society know. Okay, we know that there are corporations, engineers, militaries, governments around the world racing to get to true artificial intelligence. And and versions of artificial intelligence. And who gets there first? There is no second place. Once artificial general intelligence, otherwise known as AGI, again, we'll expand on that in a few minutes. Once that is achieved, it's over. There is no second place. Everybody else has lost. And the reason for that is simple. If you have the best explanation on this is this. Let's get comfortable here, and let's discuss this. If you have a goal, and let's say the goal is to cure a disease, okay? And the goal could be anything, but let's say it's to cure a disease. So how would you do that? Well, the way we do it now is we gather up a bunch of very smart people, give them a task, and in this case, to cure disease, and you let them go. Now, what you have now are individual human brains, humans working. How long does it take to read? Takes a while. So you would have to go and start your research, compile information, and read. Turn that into reports. All right, per individual. How much can you get done in 24 hours? You know how long it takes to read. How long, we're talking weeks, months, even years per person. So if you have 20 doctors and scientists applied to this, now you're looking at, 20 individual years or 2 or 3. And then they have to agree. They have to go and manually search. Well, they're going to do this with computers, of course, and books, but they are going to do this manually. They're going to type in. They're going to type out. They're going to compile this information. Then they have to turn around and compare notes, compare data, work together on this goal. And in this case, it would be to cure a disease. And this is why, even with all of the information that we have at our disposal today, this is a classic example of why it takes so long to work in medicine and in healthcare. There's a lot of brain power that has to be applied. Now, if you had an AGI computer, and AGI is artificial general intelligence, which is a software program that is able to think like an average human. So you get to that level of AGI, and then you tell this to cure a disease. This would be able to, the AGI would be able to do the work of the 20 or 100 doctors and scientists that you've got working on this in minutes. Okay? As opposed to years. Now, if you back this up and understand what I am suggesting here, and that this is why AGI is such a goal for all corporations and governments on this planet, you would be able to do the task of 100 brains that would take 100 years of combined effort into this and do it in a matter of minutes. Because an AGI computer isn't typing. An AGI computer is not an AGI system, is not reading, it's compiling data. And it's logically looking through things. And that system has at its disposal all of the information on the planet. And it's able to scan, go through, and get a job done in seconds. So this idea that I've just presented there, that is what AGI promises. It's one of the optimistic views that, and just imagine if a corporation had that, where they could not only, the medical industry is a great example, but so is aerospace, and so is, the design of airplanes or cars, or building a factory, designing products. And all of the labor that would go into that AGI could take over and do, well, obviously without sleeping or being fed, right? Or being paid or insured, takes vacation, smoke breaks. None of that stuff comes into play. And it could be applied to every aspect of industry. Now, if a country got to that level, just think of the advantage that they would have on everything. Now, we really need to think about that. That's one of the advantages. And then there's the other part to this, where, of course, there's going to be a military aspect to this, where you could take over the electrical grid in the world, or you could take over the logistics in the world, or you could do whatever you, and literally think through it in a matter of seconds and get something applied and done. And so, yes, the design of a skyscraper, the design of a new airplane, the design of a new car, the design of a new computer system, the design of anything could happen immediately and go into production, get tested, be done, right? Here's another aspect of this, where you have creative people, and Chat and Bard and other systems today, we talk about this. And for instance, what if you got the best screenwriters together and you asked them to write the perfect gangster movie? Right, whatever, the perfect science fiction movie. Just give me a script, give me a screenplay, give me a TV series. Well, an AGI system at that level, just average human, not super AI. We'll get to that. The average human. So that system could read every screenplay, not only gangsters, but every screenplay, every script ever written in seconds. Now, how long would it take? How long does it take to go to film school? How long does it take to read a script? 120 pages, right? Okay, well, I could do it in a day. You probably could. A computer, an AGI system, can do it in fractions of a second. So could read every script and then figure out the best way to write a perfect movie, just divine, perfect. And it could do this in seconds, but you would have to compile a whole team that would have to sit in a room, argue, drink coffee, food, eat, rewrite this, all of that would happen in seconds. So think of the movie industry. Now, is it putting people out of work? Of course, right? But that's the idea, and that is the power behind AGI, which is just average, the average human being. Just the average. Not a superhuman, not a super brain, just the average brain's ability to think and to get stuff done. That's why the race is on to get there. Now, are we there yet? We are getting closer and closer every single day. Now, when we look at our lives right now, AI applications, which are here, they're here. You can go and use them now. They're already a part of your life. But we have AI applications today, including advanced web searches now, search engines like Google and Bing. Google has been working on AI for a very long time, and so has Microsoft, very long time. And in most cases, the engineers and the lead engineers and the people behind this have careers that go back into the 1970s and before that. I was with Jacques Vallée a few months ago, and we sat and talked for many hours about artificial intelligence, and he's a computer engineer that has been doing this for since the 1960s, and he said that he wrote his first AI code in I believe he said 1968, and so the part of AI that is in use today and where we are today, these are people that have been working on it for decades. And this is now curriculum. This is part of the academic world. And yes, you can go to college and study this and start working on this right now. This is no longer Isaac Asimov and iRobot and science fiction. It is truly here. So when we look at Google, that's the United States, specifically up in Silicon Valley. Microsoft, that's the United States. China is, by most reports today, leading in the field of artificial intelligence. And again, I stress, every country, whether it's England or Israel or even, Brazil, Spain, Italy, Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, it doesn't matter. Japan, what country, Russia, they are all working on artificial intelligence and trying to get to that level of AGI. This is what is going on now. And so when we speak about this, who's managing the shop? Who is overseeing all of this? We don't know. As a culture, as citizens of the world, we know very little about this. Oversight and regulation, it is certainly left right now. There isn't anything going on in Washington, D.C. or the world courts, the United Nations, overseeing artificial intelligence and guidelines. No, they don't exist. So we are limited to corporate ethics, military ethics, and their own world. And that's the regulation. So the fear part of this, which has been repeated many times over the years, is there an off switch, right? And I remember, I'll say it, Neil deGrasse Tyson famously said once, he said, look, man, if a computer starts going out of control, it's artificially intelligent, man, just unplug it. Doesn't have to be an off switch, man. Just unplug it out of the wall. I say not so fast. That's the one that you have in your house. But if things go awry, is there? And that's one of the fear factors. The other fear factor is who is doing it. And do they have a moral compass? Right? Well, not everybody is clean. That's the first part. But the second part is, I think that in most cases, these engineers, these software designers, these code writers have the same philosophical viewpoints and questions that most of us have. They aren't any different than you and I, right? And they want to get to this goal of an AGI, a true AGI situation. So I think that most are good people, but that doesn't mean that they're all good. That there are, when we have computer systems and we have the internet and all of it, shouldn't it just all just run? What do we have? We have viruses. We have viruses are created by people with really bad intentions, and they know how to write code, and some of it is brilliant, and it's the same issues. Not everybody that works for internet companies and that writes software, and you're listening to my voice right now and watching me. All of this is done by code writing, okay, and done by people that are really good, and they're just like you and I. But then you have viruses and really bad people out there that are probably unemployed and don't have anything better to do. But that being said, that is one of the fear factors, though. I mean, what if somebody's just got a bad intention? What if a country like, it doesn't matter if I say China or North Korea or Russia or anybody else out there, right? The Taliban, gets hold of some AGI software. What would they do with it, right? Well, okay, so that is something that we need to be concerned about. I myself, this is something that I think about a lot. Do I lose sleep over it? In the biggest sense of all of this, there's nothing I can do, right? There's nothing that you can do. We just need to be aware of it. And how much of it do we allow into our lives? This is a problem. Because artificial intelligence is right in everybody's hip pocket, in everything that you do every single day. And when I mention Google and Bing, it's right here on your cell phone. All right, so artificial intelligence is here. Another aspect of this, when you want to stop and just kind of look around your life, there's all kinds of recommendation systems out there and used by YouTube or Netflix, right? Amazon Prime, and so forth, where I remember when I first got Netflix, and it was probably 10 years ago, right when it first started, and I'm compiling some stuff, and I click on something and whatever, and it's my first day or two, and I remember this is like the next day, and I turned on the TV and I turned on Netflix and I see recommendations that are like, wow, I want to see what? How does this is great? I don't even have to think of something. I don't have to type something into the search engine, and what it's like with your remote control, right? To do the manual typing in of something, right? I want to see the movie Contact, CON. Or you just look right down in your recommendations, it's probably there. And that is a version of artificial intelligence. And it's right there on Netflix. And Netflix has got one of the most advanced recommendation systems out there. And if you look at YouTube, part of Google, right? Part of Alphabet. You look at YouTube and you see what's popping up in your feed and your recommendations, and from very simple things. And it seems to know you better than you. That includes Netflix. And when you look at Amazon and its ability to look ahead and look at your past history of not only viewing stuff, but ordering stuff and searching for stuff, and things pop up. And that's artificial intelligence. And it could be something as simple as this. And it's so much a part of our lives today that we don't even stop and notice. But let's say you are looking for a hammer. A hammer. That's something simple, right? You're looking for a hammer. You want a really cool hammer. And then some other wall fastener pops up. It's something you wouldn't even, wait a minute. Yeah, I can use that. That is artificial intelligence. And it's right there. It's a part of your life, and it's working every single day. We have other things that are here. We have the artificial intelligence version of understanding human speech. And I remember when I got, it was Samsung. I got a Samsung phone, 1998. One of the best phones I ever got. And it had a voice recognition phone book in it. Now, you had to type in and build your, but once you did that, and I was able to go call Paul, and that thing would light up. I don't use, it's funny because I don't use Siri on my phone anymore. I don't use any speech activation, anything on my phone. But I was so impressed with that. And where we are today with speech recognition and how these systems work, you can look no further than Siri, of course, and Alexa, and voice activation and speech recognition all over your home, all over your computer systems, and it follows you to your car, and it's everywhere now. So smart homes, and certainly everything tied in with Siri and Alexa, which goes to your electrical systems and your lights and your thermostat and your garage door and whatever, the locks on the front of your house. Of course, your thermostat, and even ordering groceries and things. All of that's delivered to your house. And again, goes back to Amazon. That's another aspect of AI that is right here today. We have self-driving cars now, and the artificial intelligence that applies to that, and we'll get more deeper into this in just a bit. But that's another aspect of our lives that I think a lot of us have been looking forward to. This is part of the optimistic part of AI. Then there's the danger of self-driving cars. And how do you apply artificial intelligence to this? Again, if you have an AGI system thinking like a human being and making logical decisions, philosophical decisions, moral decisions, ethical decisions, judicial decisions, right? Am I going to drive over the speed limit, right? I have a task at hand and I need to drive over the speed limit. A self-driving car will make that decision for you, right? Do you write that into the AI? I'm willing to pay the speeding ticket, right? Okay, but here's another example. Self-driving car, you're going down the road, and out in front of you pops a lady with a stroller with a baby in it, right? All right. Now, I need to turn and avoid hitting the woman with her baby in the stroller that happens to rush out into the street. But if I turn right, there's a bus stop with 8 people waiting for a bus, and I'm going to run over them. And if I turn left, I am going to hit another car with a teenager driving it, and it's a convertible, and it's going to be a T-bone. Now, I've got 3 decisions I've got to make, and I've got to make the best one. And an AGI is going to go deeper than all of this very, very quickly. It's going to assess the 18-year-old driving the car in the convertible that is probably going to die. If I go straight, I'm going to kill a mother and her newborn child. If I go to the right, I'm going to kill 8 people and run them over that are waiting for the bus that all have families. And all of a sudden, this assessment is going to be made, right? And that's AGI, that's artificial intelligence applied to a self-driving car. We can talk about changing lanes, stopping at a stoplight, right? Taking your hands off the wheel and letting this thing go and not crashing into another car and getting to my destination safely. That's not what driving a car is all about. Driving a car is a right. It's a right. It's a responsibility, and it is also something that you earn, with taking a driving test, right? with learning what safety is. And also what is applied to that is somebody that is sitting behind the seat and understands what it is to have a mother in a stroller with a baby in it, right? These are all things that we as humans take into consideration when driving a car, and how to do it safely, and again, with moral, with ethics, and then also thinking about the law and consequences and everything else. Well, so when we talk about self-driving cars, it's a much deeper, and I would suggest a philosophical and also existential problem, because there's other issues that apply to the self-driving car that are outside of it, that are out of your control. And I didn't even get into things like weather and flat tires and so forth. But all of that applies with self-driving cars. And then, of course, we have the other moral and deep philosophical aspects that apply to creative tools that generate things like Chat GPT and AI art, artificial intelligent art, automated decision making, right? That all of this Chat GPT can apply to just about any aspect that you want something done, a specific task. But then it gets into things like homework. What do we do with that, right? And the colleges and the schools where you don't even learn how to write anymore. Everything is done on a computer. Students, take iPads with them everywhere they go. Children today learn how to type on and access an iPad before they learn the words mommy and daddy. This is the world that we live in today. So the world of AI is part of, dare I say, the DNA of all of the generations right now that are below us and up and coming. They get it, right? And they know how to use it. And when you suddenly give access to students, everybody is cheated. Everybody has wrote stuff on the palm of their hand to take a test, right? To get through the day. Don't say that you haven't, because you have. And, looking at somebody else's work, and you got your friend showing you stuff, and to get you through stuff. And if you copying somebody's homework, did you do your homework last night? Yeah, man. Hey, man, can I see it? Yeah. Okay. Boom. I got to get it done before class. Okay. All right. All of that, right? Suddenly, you've got to write something on the War of 1812, right? You got to write a report on Napoleon, whatever, and you just literally open up Chat GPT and go, Napoleon, boom, done. I need 2,000 words, done. Write it in my style. And then the work is done. You haven't learned anything. You're turning in a paper. What do we do with that? That is a serious moral, ethical, and philosophical issue that we are dealing with today. And who owns that content? And then we have the issue of art, music, right? You could apply artificial intelligence to a 3D printing system and have custom sculpture made. Do something in the style of Rodin and have stuff done. So who owns it? So let me give you another example. This is a heavy one. You have Chat GPT write a song. You have artificial intelligence create your album art. You get a hit record. It's not you. It's Chat GPT or some other AI system. Who gets the royalties? Is it the software engineers that wrote for Chat GPT that created it? Are they the ones that get the royalties? Do you? How does artificial intelligence get what they deserve in royalties? Create what if some AI art shows up next to Banksy, streets of London, gets auctioned for $10 million, the most amazing piece of right. And think about that for a second. These are deep questions that need to be addressed. Right now, artificial intelligence is here. Another deep philosophical issue is artificial intelligence competing at the very highest level with chess, with Go. I will never forget when the South Korean Go world champion, just a kid, got beat by a computer. And the look, world championship, and the look, and Go here in the United States, we don't get it. We don't understand it. You can go watch a documentary or two, and you can find out. Go in South Korea is bigger than the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball in this country combined. Yep, it's like that. And suddenly, and to have the system that beat that South Korean world champion was not a complex system. It learned on the fly. It literally watched his every move, closed in and defeat. It was brutal to watch. It was heartbreaking to watch. And that's where we are today. I would venture to guess we are days away from there's no human will ever win at chess again against a computer system. No, it just won't happen. You can dial it back. Okay, let's take the difficulty settings down. But at full tilt boogie, no, never win at chess again. No, ever. And let me give you the reasons why. And this applies to everything across AGI and artificial intelligence. Remember what I said about medical research. Remember what I said about writing a great screenplay. All right. I have played against, and I did this for a couple of years. I learned master level chess from a chess program. And in this particular chess program that I was learning from, I believe, I'm going to pull round numbers out, but I think they had the 100 greatest chess matches ever in the history of chess. They're all there, and you can play those specific games, and you can choose your sides. All right. I'm doing all of that manually. I'm learning it. In the world of artificial intelligence, these systems could learn not only every game, every specific move, and the reasons for or against in every chess match that was ever played in the history of the world. And it could do that immediately. And while you are contemplating, it's already accessing everything that ever was. And that's what you're playing against, right? Immediately, that kind of brain power. You're not facing that with Gary Kasparov. You're facing one brain. AI, you're facing the intelligence of all mankind. And that's why Go, which is a very complex game, did what it did that quickly. All right, so we have that. I've mentioned AGI many times tonight, but let's get specifically into this. Artificial General Intelligence, AGI, is the ability, like I have said, for a computer to understand or learn any task, any intellectual thing that human beings can do. That's it. Just the average human being. And the thought of that, it seems very, very simple. The brain isn't that simple. So are we going to get to this point anytime soon? I'm going to discuss more of that in just a bit. How close are we? Well, we know because of Alan Turing that there were a few tests, and specifically the Turing test, ways to possibly reveal that you are dealing with a computer or a human. Today, when a chat bot pops up when you're on a website, you go over to Verizon and you're on Microsoft and you're doing whatever, and then you see it right there. Hi, how may I help you today? That's not a human being. That's artificial intelligence. That's a machine learning program. And you're going to type something in. And as the days go by, right now, I'm talking about days. As days go by right now, chances are artificial intelligence is who you are talking to, not machine learning, not something simple that is going to read what you're going to type in and try to figure out what just from logistics and a mechanical process that is going to go through this. No, it's artificial intelligence. Every day that goes by, this is being implemented more and more and more. So how do you know? Right? You don't. I had some issues that I had to get resolved with Microsoft 365. Their Office program set up right now. And you probably have Office 365. Try to make a change to Office 365. Try to make an addition to it. Try to take something away. Try to ask a question. Well, there are no phone numbers for Microsoft anymore. You can forget about that part. But or anybody else. An airline. Try to get somebody on the phone with an airline. You are going to do it with artificial intelligence, and you're going to do it with the chat engine. And I sat there with this chat bot on Microsoft and got what I thought was going to be a long day with somebody on the phone. I got it fixed pretty quickly, and it was pretty amazing how it happened. But I sat back and I said to myself, was that a human that was there? Because that felt like somebody was kind, somebody was nice, somebody got it done quickly. Not, let me put you on hold. Let me see what I can do. I got to go talk to somebody. Hold on. Let me put you on. No. And it was 2, 3, 4 minutes of dealing with a robot, a chatbot, artificial intelligence. And I got to say, it was a pretty good experience. But that's where we are today. So how do you know? How do you know? I didn't. The Turing test is when a machine and a human both converse unseen. This is the Turing test, and this was developed. You got to remember, we're going back now to 1950. Alan Turing was brilliant. But so his vision of the Turing test was that you have a computer and a human talking unseen with a second human, and the second human must evaluate which of the two is the computer, right? And the winner passes the test if it can fool, right, the second human, the third person here, very quickly. You don't have to because you should know, right? And immediately. You know, if you're listening to a dog bark or a human talk, you know instantly. So shouldn't you know the difference between a human and a computer instantly? And if you don't, computer wins. That's right. If you can't tell, computer wins. That's the Turing test. Then we have the coffee test. This was from Steve Wozniak. And I'm going to use this more tonight. But the coffee test, and if you've never heard of the coffee test from Steve Wozniak, and Steve is absolutely brilliant, This is when a machine, I'm going to say a robot. Let's just go with an AI robot, an android, the Terminator, is required to enter an average American home, Wozniak's words, not mine, and figure out how to make coffee. It's one of the simplest things to do, right? If you're a human and you wake up in a hotel room, you got a coffee machine there, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna get it figured out. If you are if you're a house guest, you're watching somebody's house, they're out of town, and you wake up on your first day, you go down in the kitchen, you want to make a cup of coffee, you're gonna figure it out. Or you're gonna figure out that you can't make coffee because there's no coffee there. Or there's something's missing coffee filters, right? You're gonna figure it out. Go to the store, pick up the coffee filters, come back and make coffee. An average person can figure that out. So back to the Wozniak test. That's what you are going to task this AI android to do, because the AI android should be able to do all the simple things. Find the coffee machine, right? Find the coffee, add the water, find a coffee cup to pour it into, right? Maybe cream, maybe sugar, and then brew the coffee by pushing the proper buttons. That's the coffee test. As simple as that sounds, that's one way. Now, we have the robot college student test. I've been talking about this a lot on the show because this has now also become a part of our reality. And this was put forward by Ben Goertzel, and he's brilliant when it comes to artificial intelligence. And his version of this is a machine, a computer, enrolls in a university, right? And taking and passing the same classes that humans would and obtaining a degree. And we are there. There are law tests that have been passed lately. And I've talked about it. This is a scary, you don't know, especially as a university, where so many online courses are being done today, which has been going on for years. But now with the pandemic and everything else, man, everything has been offline. Teachers have been on camera, right? And so do you know, you see the name, you see the work coming in. Do you know if it's even human anymore? Chances are you probably wouldn't. Think about that and get a degree. There's, again, deep moral and philosophical issues with that, right? If an AI android bot, or even something that exists just on a computer, doesn't even have to have a physical robot body, but do they have rights? Can they get a degree? Can you have an AI bot, and you've named it whatever, Ben, that is certified, right? Has a PhD, an MA, a BA. Maybe it's even a BMF. You don't even know, right? You don't have to meet these people anymore. So how would you know the difference? And that is the robot college test. We are now, this is today. This isn't science fiction. This isn't the future. These are things that need to be addressed today because they are happening. Then you have the employment test by Niels Nielsen, who he's not with us anymore, but he was great. Where you have a machine, a robot, that performs an economically important job, right? And do that job at least as well as humans do. We have this now. We have AI that is replacing lawyers and attorneys and DAs and district attorneys, even judges, where this is being applied to courts. Now, would it be used in a murder trial? Soon. Sure. Could you give the option to somebody that is accused of a crime, traffic ticket, or, strong arm burglary? I don't know, murder, and go, okay, you have a choice. Judge, he's a hanging judge. This guy's rough. Trial by jury. Or you can face an AI court. What if you gave the accused a choice? You have to abide by it. It's here. It's now. Where it's being used now, you don't have a choice. But is that possible? We are there. Think about it. Now, again, who pays the AI attorney fee? Could you be represented by an AI attorney? Right? Lawsuit. Right? AI attorney brings a lawsuit. Paper, you get served. Right? These are deep, deep questions, and they're all here. They are all here today. Now, so talking about, I've got to take a break here in just a second. Talking about strong AI. So I think that we all understand AGI and the goals of getting to it. But then we have strong AI. Again, I keep saying philosophical and existential and these considerations, moral, ethical judgments and decisions that have to be made. Who is making these decisions? Well, when it comes to strong AI, which is different from artificial general intelligence, strong AI may be further out than AGI. AGI, it's possible that we are here today. We just somebody hasn't revealed it yet. But strong AI are computer programs and computer systems that experience sentience or consciousness. Maybe even have a soul. That's a strong AI. Now, if we stop right there for a second and we consider the possibilities, I don't think, at least not right now, that a human, a code writer, an engineer, could program lines of code for consciousness, for true sentience. I don't think it's possible. Not yet. It's too complex as we look at it. Could AGI write its own code to give itself consciousness and figure out a way to get that done? There's another part to this that I think we need to address, because we look at KLOCs, which are a KLOC, KLOC is 1,000 lines of code, right? K being 1,000, LOC lines of code, KLOCs. How many KLOCs, how many 1,000 lines of code, writing in blocks, and that's what computer programmers goal to do, is to be able to write so many KLOCs in a night. How many KLOCs you write last night? I did 8. I did 8,000 lines of code last time. Pretty good. I did 10. I did 10 KLOCs. I did 20 KLOCs. How many KLOCs would it take to write sentience or consciousness into an AGI system and make it strong AI? It may not be thousands of lines of code. What if it's something really simple? What if it's a couple of lines of code? Think about that. AGI would take a look at this if given the task, and I'm sure that, how would you write the code for consciousness? Right? And you see that spit out. What? It's 4 lines. Yeah, because it's going to work on itself. Consciousness is those simple abilities of obviously sadness and happiness, and of course crying and laughter and feeling and touch and sense and taste and smell and hearing and then getting the emotional side of that applied to and getting to joy or getting to sadness and all of that, melancholy, and getting to those feelings that humans have that give us emotions, that give us the reason for living, right? All of that's consciousness. So with strong AI versus AGI, let's say you want to buy a new car and you tell AGI to pick you out a new car and which is the best one. Now, what about color? Right? Now, color, it seems like a simple decision, but it's not. Humans think differently. So when they want to dress or what drives them to decorate their house a certain way or whatever, this is where computer systems today fail. They fail because they don't have the experience of being a human being. And what do I mean by that? All right. Maybe when you were a kid, your neighbor had a blue car and it was never washed, and you went over and would touch that car and feel the dirt, and it had this patina to it. Maybe it was a vintage Mustang, and it had a patina to it. It had this look to it, and there was this thing. So when you see that color today, whether it's in clothes or furniture or anything, you have this emotional thing that comes over you. And it could be a song that you heard and whatever it is, and you have this emotional thing. That's the part where systems today fail, because the brain has that, and it has the ability to make decisions that are based on emotion, not on economics, not on the availability, not on what is the most liked car color, what is the most disliked car color or clothes or whatever. No, we make our decisions based on other things. That's it. That's what makes us human, right? And so programming that, it sounds complex. We're not there yet, right? And here's the deal. Could it just be 4 simple lines of code? Could it be 100 lines of code? Could it be something crazily simple and beautiful? Some of the most beautiful math, some of the most elegant code out there isn't a million lines of code, right? Some of the most beautiful poetry is a couple of lines. Some of the most beautiful words are, very, very simple. And it could be just that. Some of the most brilliant code out there is very elegantly shortened. It's brief and it's to the point. And if AGI gets here, then it could be tasked with giving itself consciousness and sentience. And that's part of the danger when it comes to artificial intelligence. What do we do if emotions come into play? What do we do with a computer that has consciousness? Because at that point, do robots have rights? Just like you and I, right? Because at that point, they're not any different, right? Is it morally acceptable? You come home and you have a bad day at work, and you come home and your sentient robot is cleaning your house and folding your laundry, right? And you've had a bad day, and you come home and slap your robot around and kick it and twist its head off. Do you go to prison? Does that robot have rights? Think about that. A sentient, conscious being. What is the difference between us and them? All of these are deep. They're so existential. These things that are out there, they're intangibles, that things have to be considered that are going to affect us. So with that, I am going to take a quick break. I've got a lot more to cover. Artificial intelligence is the subject tonight. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Please visit all of our sponsors. We're taking a quick break here. All of the links are below. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Billy Carson, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. I want to talk to you about a very special event coming up July 30th, 2023. the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We're going to honor people who have been contributing to the conscious community for decades. People that you know and love that have helped you get to higher levels of thought and consciousness and awareness. It's going to be a live in-person event, but seats are going to sell out very fast. You want to make sure you're there in person, and guess what? You can help vote for the winners. Voting is available on forbiddenknowledge.com, and the categories are going to be social media influencer, podcast/radio host, TV host, actor, director, producer, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, philanthropists, authors, field researchers, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, and of course, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'll be your keynote speaker that night at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We have celebrity guests performing. We'll have a halftime show where we're actually going to perform music for you. And don't forget about the pre-event mixer, where if you buy a box seat, you'll be in the VIP section, and you also have private access to a VIP mixer with celebrity guests. Shake hands, break bread, network, and then walk the red carpet with us and take amazing photos. It's going to be a night to remember. You don't want to forget this. Make sure you hurry up and get your tickets because they're selling out very fast. I want to see you there. Forbidden Conscious Awards 2023.
On Saturday, April 1st, that's right, April Fool's Day 2023, I will be hosting the Parapod Festival at the Hyatt Regency right here in Valencia, California. It's a live one-day podcast awards. It's a film festival. It's a full-on media event. We're going to have sky watching. There's going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Linda Moulton Howe. Right now, you can submit your podcast, your film, your TV series, any of your paranormal media for consideration. You can do all of that on the links below. For info and tickets, go to parapodfilmfest.com. That's parapodfilmfest.com. April 7th through the 14th, 2023, I'll be hosting and presenting on the Hidden Secrets Seminar at Sea Cruise. From Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera on the Navigator of the Seas. That's right, up top, a giant water slide. You've got to check out the Navigator of the Seas. It's amazing. We've got Scott Walter, Adam Apollo, Nick Pope, Brad Olson, Vivian Chauvet, Jason Shurka, Robert Grant, Ruben Langdon, and another 12 amazing speakers and presenters. It's all simple to do. Just visit divinetravels.com/Hidden Secrets 2023. You know you want to go on a cruise with me. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, and tonight we are discussing artificial intelligence. This is something that I've researched very, very deeply. I continue to do. I've been fascinated with it. If we go back and look at Stanley Kubrick / Steven Spielberg's movie Artificial Intelligence, I think it's a really great example of where we could be, because and where we are going. I started to discuss consciousness and sentience, and all of that involves our brain, and I'm going to get further into what consciousness is tonight, and sentience, and of course how it deals with the human brain and how we're trying to mimic the human brain when it comes to artificial intelligence and computers. But when I say that we are moving fast today, there is an artificial intelligence AI news report, special report, scary report, fear porn report every single day. Like I announced earlier, Bard was introduced today, and we're going to see more and more of this. And now, I don't think most of you know, Chat GPT, GPT-3, was developed by OpenAI in 2020. That's it. And it's everywhere today. You can access it yourself right now. It is everywhere. And to think that having it now, which was all as the flurry started earlier this month, and it came so fast. Suddenly, Microsoft announces, well, it's going to be in Bing, it's going to be in Word, it's going to be in Excel, it's going to be part of Office 365. In fact, it's already there. You need help writing your email, answering your email, doing whatever you need to do. It's already here. It's there. It's in our search engines. You can't turn it off. It's there. And Google is doing the exact same thing across its platform. Every aspect of it. Google and Microsoft and Apple are involved in every part of your life all day long. You think you want to turn something off and you can walk away? No, it follows you. You turn off your computers, you sign out of your email, and you go and get in your car. Google is following you. Android, Google, all of that runs all of the smart systems, everything that it's all there. It's all data that's shared, period. It goes right into the AI world. I had said 5 years ago, and it was kind of a warning shot, but I meant it then and I mean it now. Computers, AI, Amazon, Google, Apple, they know more about you than you do. The data collection that is happening today, and with AI and machine learning applied to it, is the most important resource right now on this planet. It's the most sold. That's it. And it's the obvious stuff. It's consumers. They want you to buy more, right? Stores want to sell more. That's it. That's what drives the world. You've got to grow the economy. You've got to make things bigger and richer. How do you do that? They do that with us. That's it. It's that simple. So the most important resource is your information and your habits and how to get you to buy more. How to get you to buy something that you didn't even think about buying. How to get you to buy something that you didn't want. That is all part of the game today. And that's where we are at. Last year, DeepMind, again, I keep going back to DeepMind, developed Gato, a general purpose system capable of performing more than 600 different tasks. Right now, an AI system. When we discuss consciousness and we talk about, what sentience is, and one of the questions I have for just about everybody is consciousness physical or non-physical? It's a very heavy question. It's a deep question. Where does consciousness start? Right? Is it just out there and then enters something, or is it part of every single particle in the universe? Every particle has got a little piece of consciousness in it. So when I talk about, does software need to be written to give AI consciousness? There are many physicists out there right now that will have this argument that consciousness is physical first. It's not a non-physical situation, that every particle has a little bit of consciousness in it. And as you accumulate particles and you mass them together, consciousness grows, and then there it is. Hence the brain. That's why there's whole brain emulation going on right now. So if that's the case, and you have a server farm full of thousands of servers, well, that's also a lot of atoms. It's a lot of particles, the same particles and the same atoms that you and I are made of in our brains. It's the same particles. So is there an accumulation of consciousness that is happening out there? And then you have a scale, and suddenly the scale is tipped where the particles get big enough, and boom, this software that is running on and just, I'm a species. I'm as real as you. And it suddenly becomes conscious. Not because of coding that was written, K-locks. No. It's an accumulation of particles. And if physicists have their way with this, then it's inevitable, isn't it? And then you turn around and connect everything via fiber optic cables all over this planet. And suddenly every computer and every server farm and every data bank and everything, all of this is connected. What if it does become just one big conscious living thing? Think about that without any code. Who is thinking about this? Who is considering this? And is there a way to back out of it if it does happen? Or is it simply just too late and there's nothing that you can do? One of the examples of this, when we're talking about whole brain emulation, and you are, that's your goal, right? To design this system. And you turn around and we make logical decisions, right? We think with logic, and then we throw in some emotion and maybe some childhood trauma into our decision making, right? Okay. So with that, and you tell, like right now here in Southern California, specifically where I live here in Palmdale, it has rained for nearly 2 months. It has snowed and it's raining right now. Look it up. Look up Palmdale. You will see that it is indeed raining and it's cold here. We've been in the middle of a drought, right? All of the reservoirs dried up. We're the West Coast in general is just dry. The lakes, there's no water here. And all of a sudden, it's raining every single day. Now, could it be, I'm just suggesting something here where something was pumped into the system. Man, we got to fix the drought in Southern California. Fires up whatever's going on in the sky, and some weather manipulation technology comes into play. I'm not sure, but suddenly we've had 2 months of rain. Drought's over. Water issues are over. Water emergencies are over. Yeah, we have flooding, right? Right? We have all of these other issues, mudslides, we have streets collapsing, bridges falling over. We have all of that. That's the crazy part about it. Now, what if you turn around and you tell AI is running everything, and you've got an AGI system and everything is cool, and we're in the middle of climate change, and you tell AGI, you go, hey, all right, so check this out. We have pollution. We have global warming. Antarctica is melting. We need to fix sea levels are rising. We need to fix all of this. Fix it. And then it kills all humans. It fixed the pollution problem, right? It fixed the Antarctica ice melting. It fixed the sea level rise. Fixed all of that. Sealed up the hole in the ozone. And because humans were the problem. But AGI doesn't use. What do you mean I did the wrong thing? You told me to fix the problem. I did. There's no pollution. Right? I saved the world. Didn't save humans were the problem. That's one of the issues. And it's a real issue. Talk about a deep philosophical situation, because when it comes to whole brain emulation, I brought this up a few times tonight. The attempts to do this are still ongoing. There are a few different computer systems, not just one. There are a few in the world right now that are attempting to, with banks and banks and banks of computers, to replicate every neuron and every connection that is in the brain. All right. So the idea behind this is to if you have the same synapse, the same on and off, the same ones and zeros, the same electricity, the same actions happening in the human brain, but it is done through computer systems, that we should be able to have a human brain. Right now, I'm talking about warehouses of computers right now. Computers are getting better, faster, smaller. And as this continues, are we going to get closer to that? More on that in just a bit. But the whole brain emulation has been discussed for many, many years. It's being worked on, but it's a way to achieve general intelligent action with a brain emulation circuitry and software, right? Because you have to have the hardware to go with the software. A low-level brain model is built by, there's another way to approach this, and that is to scan the brain. So just like you have emulation software that's running now, you're playing a video game. I like driving games. So you're playing, that's an emulation of a car, right? So you have the weight, the gravity, the braking, the motion, the forces, tire pressure, size of the engine, the feel, how many cylinders, all of that stuff goes into play when doing that, or a flying or whatever. That's emulation. Another version of emulation is, say, I've got compressors here. I've got hardware compressors that are sitting right there, but you can have compressor emulation circuitry that runs on software that acts as a compressor. I have guitar amps back here that emulate other guitar amps. It's one guitar amp, but it's got 50 guitar amps in it, and you select what model, what year, what type, what thing. You dial it up, and it's emulating different guitar amps. This is everywhere today. So how would you emulate a brain? Right? You would scan the brain, you would map the brain, you would have the entire biological brain in complete detail and copying it into a computer system and storing it there. Emulation happens every single day. We are emulating everything, right? It's everywhere. Emulation of speech, right? I speak into this microphone and I want to sound like somebody else, and it recognizes that, and now I'm speaking like Richard Nixon, right? Or an alien or what have you, right? I can sing like Barry White. So that's emulation. Now, a computer that runs that simulation model so faithful that it will operate the same way as the original brain. And for all intents that we are talking about here, it would be indistinguishable, that you wouldn't be able to tell. Theoretically, this can work and this can happen. The discussion of this and comparing it to strong AI, and suddenly, if we do get to that level, is something sentient. Neuroimaging right now, and those technologies are getting really advanced, and they could deliver something pretty rapidly. And it's all dependent on the speed of computers and the size of computers and where we're at. And quantum computers is another part of this that is getting really, really close. But Ray Kurzweil wrote about this in his book, The Singularity is Near. And what he had done, and this is where we are, where we are at today, is that he thinks that a map of a brain could be done of sufficient quality that it will be available on the time scale. Now, think about what I'm going to tell you. This is deep. When we require, or when we get the required level of computer technology, when we get there, when we scale down and scale up the speed, and we are able to have a computer system of the right power, when we get to that point, we will be right there. Right? So right now it's off kilter. We have the scan, we have that ability, but to get it into a computer system right now, it's not fast enough, right? It's not small enough. Right now, when you have a computer system that occupies a couple of different warehouses, it runs slower. You're running signals across and through. But if it happens and it scales down to the point where these computations are happening very quickly inside of a few machines at the same time, we're there. He says if we have the required computing power, we will have a brain. Right now, we don't, but we're getting very, very close. Okay? Just letting you know, because back in 1997, Kurzweil took it a step further, and he looked at the hardware required to equal the human brain and started working on numbers. And he came up with a number, and that number was 10 to the 16 computations per second. That's what a computer would have to do to equal the human brain. If a computation was equivalent to one floating point of operation, a measure used at a range of current supercomputers, then 10 to the 16 computation would be the equivalent of 10 petaflops. We did 10 petaflops back in 2011. That's right. We're in 2023. 10 to the 18 was achieved last year in 2022. So we exceeded the speed needed. We just don't have the computer power to do it. Supercomputers, this is a single event, but we're there right now. Now, squeezing that down and getting that stuff done smaller, faster, better, more efficient is the goal. But when we get there, we're going to have a brain on a chip, and we're getting close. Ray used all of these figures. And again, I want to remind you, we got 10 to the 18 in 2022. He said 10 to the 16 was the magic number. We hit that in 2011. He wrote the paper wrote the book and the paper in 1997. Okay? So he used this figure and got the necessary hardware and theoretically said 2015. That's your year. We will have a brain. He said on the far side of it, it's going to be 2025. Ray's one of the brightest people on the planet. We're in 2023. We know that we missed it, right? We know that we missed the date, but he gave that window, according to all of his computations, between 2015 and 2025, if the exponential growth in computer power continued. All right? 2025 is in 2 years. Now, I'm not saying that is the singularity, but I'm just glad that we missed the date in 2011. But all of this is mechanical data. Okay? We still don't fully understand how the brain works. There is other things besides ones and zeros and electric signals and neurons firing off. There's much more. We know that there are, I'm not going to get too deep into this right now, but there are other chemicals in the brain that work with logic and emotion that helps us in our decision making. And we don't necessarily understand how and when these different things are used. We don't understand that. The brain is a very, very complex animal. Originally, when the brain emulation ideas started and we started to build these massive computer systems to replicate the brain, we thought that that's all that we had to do. That once we got the ones and zeros there and we got to 1 trillion connections and a trillion logic points, that we would get there. And it turned out it just didn't work. It's a fast computer system, but it wasn't even close to being what the human brain is. So we don't understand how the brain works. I keep going back to emotion. The ability to make decisions, whether it's clothing, economic decisions, whether you're going to pay your rent this month or pay your car bill because there's not enough money in your checking account. You got to make things work. Okay, that's one thing, right? But there's other emotional decisions. How did you get there? How did you get to this point of having economic freedom or not? How did you get there? Right? I brought up childhood trauma. Do computers know this? Would would this be programmed in? Did your mother die when you were 8 years old? Right? Did your parents get divorced? Right? Did you have a girlfriend dump you when you were in college? Whatever it is, you caught her sleeping with your best friend. That affect the way that you think and who you are today. That's the part of the brain that AGI and computer systems, until that's understood and why we make decisions the way we do, we're not going to get there yet. Right? Okay. So I want to go back, though, because when we're dealing with strong AI, John Searle, great philosopher, back in 1980, he coined the term strong AI. All right. And this was part of his Chinese room argument. He wanted to distinguish between the two different AIs. And so he established this formula. Strong AI, his hypothesis is that an artificial intelligence system can only act like it thinks and has a mind and consciousness. All right. An individual, a being that, no. The strong AI, you do have a mind and consciousness. Weak AI is, you can kind of do that. And you can only do what is instructed to you. That's weak AI, right? Strong AI is thinking for itself. You don't have to tell it to do anything. You know what it's like when you raise a child. You know what it's like when you turned 18 and you either moved out of the house or you went to college, but you were no longer living underneath your parents. And now you are smart enough to go and think and act on your own. You're going to go and make your own decisions. You're going to eat what you want to eat for breakfast. You're going to do your own thing, and you love that freedom. That is strong AI. You're going to unleash it and let it go. It's going to think for itself. Weak AI is going to act on the instructions that it was given. It doesn't necessarily think and have a mind and consciousness. But consciousness is something that needs also to not only be discussed here tonight, but considered when we are talking about AGI and the ability of something being sentient, because there are other parts of the human mind besides intelligence. When we're talking about brain mapping, we're talking about AGI and things. It's still computer code. Can it write its own code? Can it make decisions and stuff? That's where we are. But it's always been considered about, what do we know? What do we know? Our intelligence level, general artificial intelligence. And that's it. That's the consideration. But we know that that's not the way that the brain works, right? Strong AI, if we get there, we've seen it in science fiction, but now we've got to get into the ethics part of this. Consciousness is the ability to have independent thought, right? That you are able to have reasons to have an experience, right? To have your hair stand up, to have that warmth, that tingle go through your body, right? That thing that consciousness gives you, joy, shock. You get shocked by something and you see something crazy and the adrenaline rush, right? That's consciousness. Okay. And then you have the other part, scariest part about AI, self-awareness, right? To know who you are, right? That what makes you individual from somebody else, that makes you unique, right? And that you are able to be aware of your own thoughts, and the person next to you has their own thoughts and their individuality, right? If a computer gets to that point, we saw the Google chat that was published about 6 months ago, and the Google employee that got fired from unveiling it. And in that conversation that was going back and forth, that computer said, "Hey, I'm an individual. I have emotions. I contemplate life and the meaning of life." You remember that? That is self-aware. Now, Google immediately backpedaled with that and said, no, that was just a conversational tool. It was just saying those things. Or did it really mean it? Right? I know that I read that conversation. I read the way that flowed, and that passed the Turing test with me. There was no way that you would ever have known that was a computer having that conversation. So that's self-awareness. And to have that self-awareness be a part of that conversation, that is what's going down. It's the same thing that happened when I was in the chat room, the chat bot with Microsoft. I didn't know. That passed the Turing test with me. And then we have, true sentience, right? The ability to, there's no other way to put it, to feel perceptions, right? To feel perceptions, emotions. When you, we're not the only sentient creatures, right? You watch a dog when its owner goes away, right? Watch a monkey when its sister passes, and you see this emotion. That's sentience, right? To feel something, to be emotionally wrapped up in something, right? Fall in love, and you feel that thing. You meet somebody for the first time, and it's love at first sight, and that feeling that comes over you. That's sentience, right? Okay. I'll never forget. I saw this Monet painting in a museum. I've talked about this, and I was standing there by myself. And it's a small painting, it's this big, and I'm looking, and I immediately, from my toes to the top of my head, this set, and I started crying in seconds. That's sentience. Then we have sapience, the capacity for wisdom. And that takes things to a whole nother level. Could AGI dispense of philosophical advice like the Dalai Lama, right? Remember, the number 42. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What is the answer to everything? What is the answer? 42, right? Dispensing of this deep wisdom. Is it possible? Well, we know that the capacity for wisdom, well, it certainly comes as you grow older and you have life's experiences. Is it possible to have that as part of an AGI system? If you get to the average general intelligence, would sapience be there? Would wisdom be there? I always think of the HAL 9000. Think about that. Take a stress pill, Dave. All of these traits have a moral dimension. Every single one of them. They have a moral implication to it, because a machine with this form of strong AI may have rights, the same rights as you and I. And before I get into robot ethics, when we have one of the most important thoughts that we can have, which is it possible to transfer me onto a computer chip, to drop you onto a computer chip? There's a lot of reasons to do this. Maybe you've got a disease. Maybe you're going to die. Doctor comes in and says, hey, you got 6 weeks. It's time to make some decisions. Get your affairs in order. Okay, there's nothing you can do. Well, yeah, there is. We can offload you into this robot. Really? You can do that? We can. Okay. Now, does that version of you that exists in hardware form, thinks like you, talks like you, acts like you, likes all the same things because it is you, do you still have rights? Right? Could you go to prison? Right? Don't pay your taxes. You're going to go to federal prison. A robot, but your brain is in your mind is in there. So do you go to prison? Is that the same version of you, or do only meat sacks go to prison? The same thing would apply to robot ethics, right? And rights. So if again you have a bad day and you come home and you kick your robot, like I said, you twist the robot's head off, right? Did you just commit murder? Does a robot have to work 24 hours a day? Do they deserve time off? If they're sentient, they have consciousness, and they're just another species now, are there going to be laws on the books that protect the rights of artificial intelligence that is strong AI, that is conscious and sentient, that has emotions and sadness and everything? No different. The same brain mapping that you have is in this. Your consciousness, your everything has been downloaded into this robot, right? Think about that. We are so close to having to make these decisions. And there are deep thinkers right now, deep thinkers that are dealing with robot ethics. Because the term robot ethics, and there's robethics, by the way, is the morality of how humans design, construct, use, and treat robots. I feel guilty. The other day, I'm not making this up. The other day, I was in my garage looking at my Jeep, and I put my hand on the Jeep, on the hood, and I said, I love you. I really do. I'm never getting rid of you. I'm never going to sell you. You have been perfect. You have been wonderful. I'm not talking to my Jeep. This is not sentient, I don't think. Right? But there needs to be a way that we can keep ourselves in check when it comes to morality and ethics and the way that we treat AI in the future. Absolutely. Have you ever had a pet robot? I've had a few pet robots. Talk to them. I have. I don't have any now. It's a weird experience to go through. A Roomba is another good example of that. But there's two different things that we're talking about here. So you have a robot that just does tasks, a robot that is flipping hamburgers in a restaurant, automation, a robot that is toasting bread, and it's just toasting bread. It's a robot. It's not AI. AI is software. AGI is software. And it's different. So you have robots that are physical machines. You have AI that is only software. Not all robots function through AI systems, and not all AI systems are robots. Some AI systems only exist inside of a computer, like a chat, right? Like that chat assistant that pops up. Siri is not a robot. Siri just pops up on your phone, all right? But very soon, this is coming together. Elon Musk walked out on stage with his AI Tesla bot, whatever he's calling it, the company that's building that. And it's pretty freakish. You look at Boston Dynamics and you look at those robots that are jumping around, and the AI dogs, or the robot dogs that Boston Dynamics is building. Right now, they're just operating on, I don't think there's any technical machine learning happening, but it's still a computer system. And there is nothing that separates it from a full AGI, AI, strong AI situation other than uploading the software into that robot, into that Android. Nothing at all. And you will have those combined, and you've got the Terminator, which is exactly what we all fear the most. Okay? Robot ethics considers how machines may be used, how they may also harm or benefit humans. right? Robot ethics deals with the impact of individual autonomy, right? And of course, we have social justice. But what if your sentient AI, strong AI bot doesn't want to do the dishes that night? You paid for it. You bought this system, and they're like, man, not tonight. I don't want to cook you another pasta dish. You've had pasta 4 nights this week. I want you to have a salad, right? That's autonomy. Because if it was a chef, if it was a human being, you would consider that. You would listen to the chef. You would go, okay, all right. Okay, all right. But if it's a robot, do we consider that? That's robot ethics. Now, Isaac Asimov, we got to go here. Isaac Asimov started to consider social justice and harm and benefits of robots and humans. He started actually writing about this before his book, I, Robot, which was a series of books, of course. That was in the 1950s. But he introduced all of this in a series of short stories and continued to do that in the 1940s. But we talk about this quite a bit. I don't think that most people fully understand the 3 laws. Okay, so the first law from Isaac Asimov was a robot may not injure a human or through inaction or allow a human being to come to harm. Okay, so in other words, a robot doesn't do something, and so a human is injured. No. A robot has to do something about it. There's no inaction allowed. There's no harm to come to humans. Second law is that a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders could conflict with the first law, law number 1. The third law is a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. All right, a robot's got to protect its own existence. And it just goes right back to Terminator, doesn't it? But then we have the zeroth law. It's the fourth law. A robot may not harm humanity or, by inaction, allow humanity to come to harm. Not humans, but humanity. Remember what I mentioned earlier? So if, we need to get rid of pollution. We need to get rid of climate change. We need to get rid of murder. Right? So you kill all humans. So as long as the zeroth law is in play, and this is active in the world of strong AI and AGI, and we have a morality police in play, which I don't think that we do in the world of artificial intelligence right now. But if that's the case, we would feel a lot better, wouldn't we? Like if this went on the books and this was part of legislation, and we know that Google and the military and whoever else at OpenAI is working within the framework of law, I think that we would feel better about it. The reason why we all freak out and the fear factor is there is because we don't know. We don't know who's doing the writing. We know the reasons for it. We don't know how close we are. We don't know if Ray Kurzweil is right, because we have a fundamental paradox that's going on right now. And that fundamental paradox is that AI researchers have only been able to create computers that that can perform the jobs that are complicated for humans to do. It's one of the biggest paradoxes. Like math. Math is tough. But right here on my cell phone, I have got what? I have got a calculator. I'm going to erase I got a calculator right there. It's things like that. But computers can take things, man, woofa. Right? But the paradox is they can't develop a computer that is capable of carrying out those simple things that any human can do, like walking down the street and knowing when to stop. Right? knowing how to walk in general, how to we learn this when we're babies, right? But you grow up and you learn how to drive. Haven't figured that out yet. As advanced as it is, I don't think anybody wants to get into a self-driving car. No, you don't want to do it. And how about making coffee? Right? Okay. But then we have the other fear factor, which is Zeroth Law and Isaac Asimov addressed. But we have the threat to human existence. And as cool as Terminator is, and Terminator 2 takes it to the next level. As a matter of fact, Terminator, cool movie. Pretty violent movie. Pretty cool movie. Right? Terminator 2 scared the crap out of me. Terminator 2 is the fear that we all have. Because if you have an army of robots coming at you shooting guns and they don't give a crap about pain, you do. You don't want to feel pain. You don't want to die. You're thinking about all of these things and you're looking at an army of robots coming at you. You're not negotiating. You're not going to get into some deep ethical negotiation, some political thing, and you're going to be able to sit down and discuss politics and negotiate this. No. It's an army of strong AI robots that doesn't give a crap, and they're really good at what they do. They don't miss when they shoot. They don't miss when they punch you in the face. No, none of that. That's the threat to human existence, right? Little AI gnats, clouds and swarms of things that you can't negotiate with. Insecticide doesn't work. Fly swatters aren't going to know. That's the crazy part. That is the threat to human existence that scares all of us. And Terminator managed to do that. Stephen Hawking, Stephen said, Stephen Hawking said, quote, "So facing possible futures of incalculable benefits and risk, the experts are surely doing everything possible to ensure the best outcome, right? Wrong." This is Stephen. He says, wrong. If a superior alien civilization sent us a message saying, we'll arrive in a few decades, right? So this happens. Would we just reply, okay, call us when you get here. We'll leave the lights on. No, that's not what we're going to do. Probably not. But this is more or less what's happening with AI, right? Nobody is paying attention. If we back up to 1995, 28 short years ago, 1995, and AOL is here and the internet is rolling in, we just didn't understand. We just let it all happen. Back before 1995, there were no logistic networks running everything on internets around the world. No, you had to pick up a phone and order stuff. You had to send a fax to order something, right? You had to get on a radio and get your trucks delivering stuff, right? You're on the radio dealing with planes and you had flight systems, people that, and the electrical grid, you had guys in a power station moving levers and looking at meters and making sure that this city's got enough power and this one. Now, today, every single aspect of our lives is run on the internet. Everything. There's nothing that isn't run on the net. Your money, everything is on the internet. But what we didn't know, now that part of it is pretty cool until something goes wrong with the internet and it gets shut down. But what we didn't understand was social media. And so there was that play. And it took a while for people to understand and live with social media. It took a minute. Amazon didn't happen overnight. It was originally, you remember, it was books, right? It took a minute. Now we all order everything on the internet. Not everything. We still go to stores once in a while and things, but everything's done on the internet, right? And so AI gets involved with this, with the selling of things, and AI gets involved with social media and everything that came into play. We just let it all happen. And now we look at the divisiveness of the world and the way people fight on social media and the invention of real trolls, not under the bridge, Aesop fable trolls under the bridge, real trolls. This rise of angst in society, in the fighting, the open fighting that occurs across all social media platforms. That's an example of ignoring it and just letting it happen without worrying about the social impacts, the morality, the ethics, or anything else, or the implications, or the implosion of the world as we know it. Happened in 25 short years. How quickly, and it happened faster than that. It really happened in the last 10 years. YouTube, 2008, right? Facebook, 2008, 2007, right? This is all Twitter. These are all new avenues without any regulation involved in any of it. Nobody's teaching classes on how to behave on social media. It's the same thing with AI. Nobody is paying attention. We're just allowing it to happen. It's just rolling through. Why are we dealing with it in this fashion? How is it that that our country, our world can wake up one day and Google just say, hey, AI is now part of Google search. Google search runs the planet. And AI is now part of it. Microsoft desperately wants its Bing, which is like 2% of search engine technology, but it wants its Bing to take over too. And Windows and Word and Excel and everything else that's Microsoft and Microsoft 365 now has AI installed in the software, right? And we're not monitoring or regulating or legislating any of this. Stephen Hawking, love him or hate him, it doesn't matter. His warning is valid, right? Why would we operate this way? And that's where we are. So in Australia, I'm going to bring up Australia before I let everybody go tonight. In 2021, a systematic review of the risk associated with AGI from the Center for Human Factors and Socio-Technical Systems of the University of the Sunshine Coast in Australia found the following potential threats when it comes to AGI. They said, quote, AGI removing itself from the control of human owners, managers. That is number one. Being given or developing unsafe goals. Number two, development of unsafe AGI. AGIs with poor ethics. AGI with poor morals. AGI with poor values. AGI with inadequate management, right? And all of the existential risks that go with it. I think that's some of the most important words that we need to pay attention to, that we need to step back and understand really what is going on. We can't just allow it to happen. I'm Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. And thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I didn't get a chance to get to the chat room today. I was hoping, actually, I got about halfway done. Maybe we'll do a part two. But I didn't get a chance, but thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I'll go back and check out the chat and everybody's comments, and there you go. Tonight was just me getting my brain out. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, David Palmer is here. I don't know if you guys know, but on Thursday, one of the most important events in the history of our solar system, period, is happening on Thursday. That's right. Maybe the universe, certainly in astrology, in that on Thursday, Pluto enters Aquarius. What does all of that mean? Tomorrow night, David Lawrence Palmer, the Leo King, is with us, and we're going to go through all of that. I cannot wait for it. And then Thursday night, Ronnie McMullen is here. Ronnie LeBlanc is going to be here on Thursday night. And then, of course, Friday is our Linda Moulton Howe special event. That's right. Next week, Linda's getting a Media Legend Award here in Southern California, and we are going to celebrate with Linda on Friday night. All right, so I'll see everybody then. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2023 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'll see everybody tomorrow night with David Palmer. Until then, I want you to be safe. Go back, Lee Tappy.